Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Mario Kart World is one of the first Switch 2 exclusive games, so just for Switch 2, and I'm happy to announce that yes, in docking mode HDR is actually pretty good if you use a decent screen TV or display. Talking about display, the display on the Switch 2, we learned this from my previous or first video about the Switch 2, is just below average quality when it comes to HDR presentation, and in this case I would strongly recommend do not use HDR when you play in portable mode. And as always, before we start, please do me a very big favor. Please like, share and subscribe. Please support my work. I'm putting a lot of hours in those videos and I would like to see my channel actually blown up at some point. Thank you very much. And now let's take a closer look on the Switch 2 display in regards of SDR versus HDR. And what I have prepared here is a very simple SDR versus HDR comparison in portable mode. So that means we have on the left hand side HDR, we have on the right hand side SDR, and what we can see is that SDR actually is delivering better colors. So that means if you disable HDR in portable mode on your Switch 2, you get richer colors. Also, what I found is that if you enable HDR in portable mode and you play games, not just this game, but in general games in HDR on the display in portable mode on the Switch 2, you actually have an even more washed out look. So I will do more testing on this feature actually, and I would just recommend at this very moment, don't use HDR in portable mode. Use SDR, disable HDR and enjoy richer colors and a better contrast, because looking at specular highlights or comparing specular highlights between HDR and SDR, honestly, there is no difference at all. I would actually say, and I haven't measured this so far, but in regards of the maximum brightness in SDR and HDR, there's literally no difference at all. If you watched my previous or my first video, we learned that the maximum peak brightness in HDR is roughly around 450 nits, and I would guess that right now, even with HDR disabled and just displaying SDR in the portable mode, we have roughly 450 nits as well. That means there is no difference or actually no benefit in regards of using HDR. There are just disadvantages actually what I found so far. So again, my recommendation is disable HDR when you use the Switch 2 in portable mode. And now let's talk about HDR in docking mode. And here we have, depending on your screen TV or monitor, a complete different picture. I have tested this game on my LG G4. I have set up the Switch 2 console in regards to the HDR system level calibration to match my LG G4, and I will do a separate video on that, how to do this in the best way, but I would just recommend at the moment just follow the instructions on the screen and you have a very good result. And what I found is that HDR in docking mode, and again it depends of course on your screen TV or display, it is a pretty good experience. I wouldn't go that far and say that HDR in Mario Kart World is on a reference level, because it's not, and that's due to the fact that most of the tracks are having a slightly washed out look, but that's not a problem with the HDR implementation in general. That's due to creators' intent. And the HDR quality is really changing track by track. In one track you can have a very great experience and you can have a great dynamic range in regards of darker areas and brighter areas, and also you have a great contrast, and then you play the next track and you're just wondering what is going on because the picture looks slightly washed out. So this again is not an issue with the Nintendo Switch 2 or the HDR in general. That's due to creators' intent. Okay, my friends, so this was a very quick HDR review to Mario Kart World, I think that's the right name, Mario Kart World HDR review on Switch 2. And again, I'm not impressed. I'm actually really disappointed about the display on the Switch 2 in regards of the HDR capabilities. Okay, I saw a couple of comments they actually mentioning, oh, this game has VRR, or the Switch 2 display has VRR capabilities and 120 Hz. I get all of that, okay, but regardless of that, it's still a poor display because the black level rays what you have because of the edge lit LCD screen is just not acceptable anymore in 2025. That's my opinion, but I think I will do a different video on that. When we're looking at docking mode HDR capabilities of the Switch 2, then there will never be any difference compared to PlayStation or Xbox, because it's exactly the same, okay? So it depends what the creators are actually doing with the game. That's how it works. The same as on PlayStation 5 or Xbox or even PC. If the creators are making a good or creating a good HDR implementation, then that's what you get on your screen. That's despite or regardless if you use a Switch 2 or PlayStation 5 or Xbox. That's how it works, okay? In this case, Mario Kart World has actually decent, maybe above average HDR in docking mode. So I would strongly recommend to use it in docking mode, but again, not in portable mode. Thank you very much for watching me. I see you guys next time. Bye.